As a kid, I came home weekly from the library with shopping bags full of the Saddle Club, Animal Hospital, and the Babysitter's Club. As I graduated up into Laura Ingalls Wilder and J.R.R. Tolkien, the library was there for me. I visited my school library, my neighborhood library, my city library, even the local university library. Over the years, as a podcaster and education writer, I've heard from many librarians and teachers about the power of collaboration between them. In episode 66, my friend Alexandra Patterson, head librarian at her school, shared wonderful title ideas for creating a diverse curriculum in classroom library. In episode 120, we heard about the amazing digital literary food truck festival coordinated by librarian Amy Marquez, who works at Collegiate High School. A few weeks ago, Caitlin Lohr shared about how her librarian helped her order sets of 10 contemporary novels in verse for her book clubs so she could feature relevant and exciting titles for her students without spending any money. Librarians can help classroom teachers in so many ways, and classroom teachers can return the favor by reminding kids they can always go further than the classroom library to the larger collections at the school or local library, and tap into their librarian's intricate knowledge of the collection to find even more books to love. Forming a bridge between the work you do in class and the life of your school or local library will help kids be tapped into book sources and experts beyond the time they spend in your classroom. So today, I want to dedicate a full episode to talking about the power of this collaboration. And if you're thinking sadly that your school doesn't have a librarian, or that your school librarian is frantically trying to serve the needs of thousands of kids with a tiny budget and no staff, then remember that many community librarians would also love to get your call and can also help you bring more books into your students' lives. Ready to dive in? Hey there, I'm your host, Betsy Potash, and one-pagers, project-based learning, and choice reading are my jam. I believe in you, and my goal is to help you explore all the creative possibilities you dream of for your classroom. I'm an educator, a chocolate cake aficionado, a traveler who can't wait to get back to Barcelona, and the kind of mom who brings her own mini makerspace to her kid's classroom when she comes to volunteer. I know this for sure, creativity isn't always easy. As a creative teacher, you get parent calls you treasure and plenty of sidelong comments you'd rather forget. But here's the bottom line. Creative education can ignite a spark in your students and change their lives forever. You and I know this. You're an innovator. And while it's sometimes hard, it's so worth it. So let's explore the world of creative education together. Welcome to the Spark Creativity Teacher Podcast. Earlier this summer, I ran a short episode about classroom libraries. Maybe you heard it? I talked about the power of having books right in your room and being able to help your students find their next perfect read because you're right there with them, seeing them every day, knowing what's working, what they're loving, what they're hating. I truly believe in the power of classroom libraries. But in that quick episode, I didn't have a chance to do justice to the power of school and community libraries. I realized after the fact that folks listening might think I didn't trust school librarians to help kids find books. And nothing, believe me, nothing could be further from the truth. In case there was ever any doubt, I think libraries and librarians are an incredible resource for you, for your kids, for your whole community. Librarians have a wealth of book knowledge and access, and of course, a love for books, just like we do as English teachers. So let's dive into some of the ways that you might collaborate together with your school librarian. Number one is something we've been over before, so let's just kind of review it. You and your school librarian, or maybe community librarian, could work together on collections for your classroom. If you heard that short episode earlier this year about creating a classroom library, you know that when I first started my choice reading program many years ago in Bulgaria, the local school librarian helped me. And then when I moved back to the United States and continued my choice reading program, I once again got help from my school librarian. You can approach your school librarian if you want to walk this same path, and they can possibly help you curate a mini collection of books that you feel excited to bring into your classroom. You want to find books that you're familiar with, that you feel comfortable book talking and recommending to your students. Then the kids can check them out directly from you, but you don't have to spend the money to purchase an entire classroom collection. This can be an ideal route to getting started with choice reading in class if your librarian is up for it. Number 2, talk to your school librarian about the tools they use to select and review books. This one is so relevant right now for reasons that make me sad, but they exist. I was emailing back and forth with creative school librarian Kimberly Johnson, and we were talking about this, and here's what she suggested, quote, talk to your school librarian about professional tools they use to select and review books. Increasingly, both school and classroom libraries are under attack from those who wish to censor. Having professional reviews on hand can be helpful if the teacher receives parent calls or emails about the books in their classroom library. So if this is an issue in your community and you're finding that books are getting questioned or banned, perhaps a conversation with your librarian about the tools that they use can help to support you in your work and help you to keep some diverse books on your shelves. Number 3, get students connected to electronic collections. We talked about this in depth last week on the podcast in the show all about building your digital bookshelves. And for me, this one is huge because if you can get students tapped into a really quality system of electronic books and audiobooks, whether it's at your school library or your community library, you're really giving them a gift that's going to go on and on. Your school librarian may already have spent years building and organizing the digital collections at your school. And if so, they are definitely the ones to help you understand what's available. If your school doesn't have an electronic collection right now, maybe they can't afford it or their priorities are elsewhere, then that's a chance maybe to reach out to your local community library. Number 4, run a special project together. Now, this would be a chance just to get to know your partner in the library better and collaborate on something bookish for the school or that goes across grade levels. Let's talk about some examples. Maybe your department and the team at the library could work together to create fun book review posters that feature faculty from all over the school and also students or parents or community members. Or maybe you want to host a book face photo contest and the results are going to be posted in the library, but every teacher is going to talk about it in English class and sort of talk it up and make it exciting so that it gets more of a foothold in the student conversation. Or maybe you want to have the seniors take turns creating bulletin boards and reading displays in the library throughout the year. And it's like their chance to tell the younger kids what books they think are the best. Maybe you want to have a special book stack poetry day where kids come into the library and they can choose from a certain area of books to create those fun poems where you stack the books and then the titles of each book read from top to bottom make a poem. And maybe you can work together with your librarian to display some of the best around the school. There are so many different possibilities. You could host a reading contest together. You could do some kind of seasonal displays in the library that also extend out into the classroom. Maybe your librarian might be up for working with you on a school-wide literary food truck festival. This is a project that I was so inspired to see when my friend and Dynamo librarian Amy Marquez down in Texas at Collegiate High School worked on this with her English teachers at her school. They set up an amazing literary food truck festival. The kids worked on the projects in their classes, but then they displayed all the projects and had the final festival in the library in a dedicated space. And the final results were just amazing. I'm going to put the photos shared with me by Amy in the show notes so that you can see. Whatever kind of special project you come up with, this would just be a great chance to develop your relationship with your librarian or library team and to kind of help to bring the ELA department and the library program closer together. Number 5, work together on a collection of First Chapter Friday or Book Trailer Tuesday resources. If you're looking to incorporate more of these tools into your program in your classroom and you think that maybe other teachers around the school might like to do more of them too, this could be something that maybe the English department and the library could work on together. Maybe you can create some sort of huge linked collection of amazing books. And maybe you could also work together to engage teachers, community members, parents to record videos of themselves reading first chapters of books they love. And over time, over years, your school could amass this amazing collection that teachers could tap into. This could be a really neat collaboration with your librarian. Okay, last but not least, and also really not last, I'm sure you can think of lots more cool things that you could work together with your library team on. But last for me today is that you could collaborate on book club texts. And this is something that really didn't occur to me until I learned about it from Caitlin Lohr when she was on the podcast earlier this year. And she said that she did these amazing novel and verse book clubs. If you haven't heard this episode yet, I highly recommend it. It was one of the best episodes of the year. And she was able to do these novel and verse book clubs completely free and choose 6 fantastic contemporary titles that her students loved. And with the help of her school librarian, she was able to order the books from libraries within the network. And so by working together well in advance, they made requests and all kinds of other libraries sent the texts. And so Caitlin just kept the books in her classroom, 10 copies of each title, and her students were able to read them in all of her classes for free. Now, this allowed her to choose truly contemporary, relevant titles. Sometimes when you commit to book clubs and you have to order a bunch of copies of each title, 10 years later, those are maybe not the titles that you want and you feel a little bit stuck. Now, you may not feel a little bit stuck. If you have the budget to order book club titles, that's also lovely. Then you can send them home with your students. But I love this option of working together with your librarian because it really gives you flexibility. It also allows you to see, like, if you order 6 different titles one year and then you realize that maybe 2 of the titles weren't as engaging as you expected, you can swap those 2 titles out the next year, which is super nice. Okay. Just to wrap up, folks, let's review all these different possible collaborations. So you could work together with your librarian, if they're willing, on curating mini classroom collections for you, for other teachers. It's a great way to start choice reading. You could talk to your librarian about the tools they use to select and review books so that you have sort of the force of the book world behind you when you want to defend a book. You can help get students connected to electronic collections that your librarian may be aware of that you may not know the back end of nearly as well as they do. You could run a special project together, like a book face photo contest or a literary food truck festival. You could work together on a First Chapter Friday or Book Trailer Tuesday collection, and you could collaborate on ordering vibrant contemporary book club texts. In the end, developing a strong relationship between the library, whether it's your school library or public library, and the English department at your school can only benefit everyone. Know that your librarian is undoubtedly already a very busy person with lots of programs of their own going, and just approach them with that genuine desire to build a two-way collaboration. You want to help their library thrive. You hope they can help your reading program in your classroom thrive, and everybody benefits. The students benefit from the stronger reading culture in your classroom, and also from understanding that there's this larger, wider network of great bookish resources that are going on in your school and community that they can have access to after they leave your classroom. In my dream world, and I know in yours too, every student would have a diverse classroom library to access every day, a school library that they love and can also visit whenever they want, and a community library where they have a card and access to amazing electronic resources and a relationship with the librarian. Collaboration with any and all librarians in your sphere can help make that dream come true for more kids. Thanks so much for joining me today to talk about all the wonderful things that can happen when you collaborate with your local or school librarian or both. Until next time, take care of yourself and stay creative.